How's she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's workshop. We're in the shop today working on the chainsaw. Remember, we had a video there a while back about my saw being hard to start. Well, and a few other things I wanted to check on it, and I got a new plug and a coil. So we're checking her out. Let's have a look, see what I find. So we're continuing to work on our saw to find out why it wouldn't start. And I must say, since the last episode, the last video I made on the saw, it has been starting good. So I thought I had no spark, but that seems to have resolved itself. I'm not sure why. So what we're intending to do today is discover, or maybe discover, why the spark was intermittent. Because I'm calling the spark intermittent now. Not that it wasn't operational, it was just intermittent. There's nothing worse than having a saw that you have to fight with to start. And I hope to be able to come to some conclusion as to why I was not getting a spark. So one of the things that I figured was wrong was inside the spark plug cap, there's of course that little bit of wire that folds around to make contact with your spark plug. I'm thinking that that was loose, and the way this boot fits over the plug, it makes it very, the rubber forms a very tight seal around the actual porcelain on the plug. Wait till I see if I can make that a little clearer. So what I have here is, this is a coil, and this is the spark plug boot. Now inside this boot, you can't really see it too good, but there's that little metal flange that when you insert it over the spark plug, it makes contact with the center electrode. Now notice the size of this porcelain, the size of this opening. When you put those together, like, you really have to force it in there pretty good to get this rubber to seal over the porcelain. What I was thinking was happening was that I would just put it on like that and figure that's okay, but it's not in all the way, right? Like, I can feel that moving in there. So to me there's a couple of things that could be at fault here. One, this boot is, the opening is way too small to fit around here, the porcelain on the plug. The other thing is that metal flange or ring or whatever that's formed inside the rubber boot to make contact with the center electrode, it's too loose and not necessarily making good contact with the electrode all the time. And that's why I wasn't getting spark. This rubber boot and the length of the porcelain on the plug. Now, you could put that right to the hilt here, and that electrode on the plug would be protruding at the end of the rubber boot. I don't know that it can go in that far, but it can go quite far. Look at that, for example, eh? See how far that boot is on the plug now? Now I'm thinking that's making really good contact here. It makes it right hard to get it apart though. Like, I don't know that it will come apart. Oh, there she comes. So, you know, that's what I'm thinking is the base of my whole problem, was that the spark plug cap wasn't on the plug far enough, in a nutshell. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see that. but as I pull it out I see that I thought it was a piece of flat metal that was just formed into a loop, but it's actually spring. Alright, I just pulled the boot right off, just because, and you see that that's just a loop of spring. So I'm not sure if crushing that would make it tighter. Let's see how tight it fits around the electrode. I guess it fits pretty good, eh? Look. I think that works pretty good there. Before I put the crank on, I also, when I was trying to start it one day, like you'd pull on it and it would backfire, kick back, pull the cord out of your hand. That tells me that there might be something up with the timing. So I'm just going to check under this flywheel to see what the timing key looks like. Before I do that though, I'm going to take the coil off, because I don't want to damage the coil. There she comes. Alright, I'm looking at the key in this flywheel, and I have to tell you, I don't think it's very good shape. See if you can see it any better here if I put the magnifying glass on it. It's hard to see it, but if you can look and see that the sides of it, there's the key right there. The lighting is terrible, I know, but there's the key. And the sides of it are crushed somewhat. So I'm thinking that might be a problem why it's not starting real good either, is because the timing is off just a wee little bit. Strangely enough, that key doesn't appear to be removable. So I'm going to go check and see what, in my spare parts, if I have the other flywheel, and see what kind of shape it's in. Okay, here's my part saw, and as I understand it, the history of this saw was the person who owned it ran it without mixing oil in their gas, and the saw seized up. So I'm hoping that this flywheel here is going to be in pretty good shape. So we're going to try and take it off. So I'm hoping that this flywheel, because the saw was fairly new when it seized up on the fella, that the flywheel will be in good shape. Whoa, baby, when she comes off, she comes off. Alright, now, can you see, I'm poking from the back side here, right in there where my poker is, right there is the key. Now, I'm hoping that you can see, and I don't think you can, but you can see the edges on that key. They're nice and straight and true. And this is what I'm thinking is a fairly new flywheel. Now if we look at the old flywheel that came out of it, if I can get this one dialed in, right there, you see those edges, they're kind of rounded over. You can see that. like right there. They're rounded over, right? This is not necessarily the reason why it wasn't starting, but it could be because if the timing's not right, it doesn't start the best. That'll be tight enough for that. Okay, put the coil back on now. I'll put the magnet right there. Okay. Now, put some parts back on here. Okay, we're going to try and start it now. So it's turned on, of course, and the choke is on. So the chainsaw is working. But is it fixed? I spent my life as a maintainer, like repairing industrial equipment. If you never found any real problem, then the problem wasn't fixed. I didn't find any real problems. I found some things, possible things that could cause the chainsaw not to start, like the timing or the coil wire not making good contact with the spark plug. I never found anything really definite, so I'm still a little bit, you know, about whether my saw is actually in good shape now. But it starts and it runs, so I'm going to use it, see what happens. And eventually, the real fault will rear its ugly head and we'll put it to bed. But in the meantime, appreciate you watching along. I hope you learned something from this about if you have a stubborn saw, hard to start, some things you can check. So good luck with that. I hope you don't have a problem with your saw, because there's nothing worse than a saw that won't work. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the summer. We've got another hot sunny day here today in Nova Scotia. And well, I'd like to say I'm loving it, but I'm not a fan of the heat. But I'm liking it. We'll talk to you.